What's the location of your emergency?
I don't know what to do.
When an emergency strikes, do you know what to do? The one thing the Marion County Sheriff says we all need to know. Bold and brazen, a band of teens caught on camera shoplifting. But this isn't the first time they've targeted the store, and the owner fears it won't be the last. How he hopes you can help. Plus, a cure for cancer, and you may not even know you have it. It's 4 o'clock, and this is the Now Indy. We begin with the latest information about the murder of a Zionsville mother and her young son. Any minute now, we're expecting a release from the Boone County Sheriff. Call 6 investigates. Paris Lubell has been following this story since the beginning. And Paris, what have you been able to learn?
Hey, Candace, right now we know State Police is going through that van that was taken here from the Hilton Hotel downtown. That's where they found Lou Hamilton last night. Again, as you said, Hamilton County Sheriff is expected to be releasing a statement anytime now to give some more specifics. But we know yesterday State Police finished their investigation in that hotel room, going through exactly what was in it around midnight. Once they stopped that in the morning, they started looking through that van. They towed it away last night from the hotel, brought it to a crime lab, and that's where they're being able to go through it. We know that will continue into tomorrow, and all that information will be turned over to the Boone County Sheriff. Again, we're awaiting a release from them here any moment now, and we'll bring it to you as soon as we have it. For now, reporting live downtown, Paris Lubell, RTV6.
Paris, thank you. A very developing story we'll continue to follow. And RTV6's Chris Prophet spoke with a longtime friend of Katie Gill who remembers her for her compassion. A woman and her young son mourned by family and friends.
Catherine Gill was known as Katie to her friends, who describe her as a people and a pet person. It was Katie and her 4-year-old son who were murdered by her uncle in her Zionsville home. Police say over an inheritance. A man who hours later took his own life. Coming up at 5 o'clock, a woman who knew Katie for years and calls this loss insurmountable. That's at 5 o'clock. For the Now Indy, Chris Prophet, RTV6.
And as we learn new information about the case and the victims, we're adding everything we know on digital. Make sure to sign up for our breaking news push alerts in the free RTV6 app. Well, it seems like every day we hear of a new recall, but this one is very important, and you need to listen up because one person has already died because of it. Call 6 investigates. Rafael Sanchez joins me now with more. Hey, Rob.
Just walking in with the latest information, we're talking about 1 million RAV4s that are at issue right now for a recall worldwide. This stacks up to, Candace, nearly 3 million of these vehicles. Do you have one of these? Here's the defective problem. The cars were made between 2005 and 2012. A design problem could cut the seat belts in the back seat during a crash. That's been reported in 2 crashes so far. And as you mentioned, Candace, 1 person died in one of those accidents, which is a terrible thing. So obviously they're taking a look at this because they want to get it fixed.
And we're hearing some new developments about another problem with the Takata airbags.
Yeah, let's talk about federal regulators want some quick action on this because another problem involving this, they want to recall sooner than later on all these cars that have the Takata airbags. We've heard about this now since last summer. So far, the agency has given Takata until 2018 to fix the problem, and if it doesn't, that's when a wide sweeping recall would happen. The airbags can shoot out pieces of shrapnel when they go off. Now, despite 10 deaths connected to that problem, federal regulators say it doesn't have enough data right now to justify taking action. But as you can imagine, a lot of folks are concerned about that as well. We'll keep following this throughout the process because people don't want to get injured by the very device that's supposed to save their lives in the event of a crash. We'll keep you posted on that.
Sounds good. Rafael joining me live in Studio A. Thanks so much.
And how about that sunshine and you feel the warmth? It's starting to change. It's a work in progress, and temperatures will be near record warmth as we go through the next 2 days. Okay, I built this guy on Tuesday. At 1:30 this afternoon, his posture was not good. An hour later, he looked like this. So going, gone. Temperatures, they're going up, and the wind will increase as well. 44 in Indy, 47 in Bloomington. How about this? 54 in Evansville. Temperatures tonight will be steady through the evening hours and then actually go up. The wind is southeast at nearly 20 miles per hour now. It gets stronger during the day tomorrow. Again, steady temperatures this evening in the low 40s with an increasing southeast wind as we go over the next couple days. We'll talk about near record warmth when I come back. Which day will be the closest to a new temperature record? The wind advisory in effect for Friday, and then get into your rain chances for the second half of the weekend.
As the primary season continues, each week brings new public figures supporting candidates or speaking out against them. But today, a bit of a different case. Now's Jason Fechner can explain the new controversy brewing with none other than Donald Trump. Hey, Jason.
And how about this one? Good afternoon, Candace. Good afternoon, everyone. We usually hear Donald Trump slamming other presidential candidates, but today he is now going after Pope Francis. It all started when the Pope said that Trump isn't Christian if he calls for deporting undocumented immigrants and pledges to build that border wall with Mexico. The Pope made those comments on his flight back to Rome from Mexico today. Now, Trump tonight has responded in kind.
For a religious leader to question a person's faith is disgraceful. I'm proud to be a Christian, and as president, I will not allow Christianity to be consistently attacked and weakened, unlike what is happening now.
Trump went on to say that if and when the Vatican's attacked by ISIS, the Pope would wish Donald Trump had been president because it simply wouldn't have happened then. Another surprising comment today from the Pope in a reversal from the Catholic Church's view. He is saying that contraception's okay if women use it to protect against the Zika virus. Candace?
All right, Jason, thank you. President Obama is getting ready to do something no U.S. president in office has done in nearly 90 years. He's headed to Cuba next month. He's planning to meet with Cuban President Raul Castro. The Obama administration says the goal of the visit is to open up more opportunities for business and travel with Cuba. Calvin Coolidge was the last president to visit Cuba while in office back in 1928. They're brave, they're brazen, they're a thorn in the side of a local business. The surveillance video showing a band of teens and what they're doing to grab the attention of local law enforcement.
Hackers got ransom money from a California hospital. Today we ask, what can other hospitals do to protect your personal information?
Welcome back to the Now Indy. Campaigning continues. We're looking at a live Ted Cruz event happening right now in South Carolina. You can see that he's talking to the crowd there. Some person taking a picture right as well. And remember, Donald Trump, Jeb Bush, John Kasich are talking tonight at CNN's GOP Town Hall. That's also happening in South Carolina around 8 o'clock tonight. Well, a group of teens tormenting a Southside gas station. At least 4 times they've stormed in, grabbing hundreds of dollars worth of food and drinks. The Now's Mike Pelton joins us along the 1400 block of South Meridian Street, where he's been gathering the latest details. Mike.
Well, Candace, employees here at the Phillips 66 gas station tell me they are under siege from the same group of teens who apparently finds ripping them off is all too easy. Cameras capture 3 brash and brazen teens robbing the Southside gas station. But rather than look for money, candy is apparently much sweeter than cash.
When people are going to this store, they pick up some snacks, beef sticks, the snacks, and 2 liters.
Cashier Amin Singh watched the thieves get away yet again Monday night. Security cameras show the 3 storming into the store, grabbing candy, Slim Jims. Why not grab a drink, too?
Every time, same thing is that 3 people is coming in my store.
Police confirm at least 4 incidents they believe involved the same group of teens.
We do believe they are potentially high school students, high school age kids. And so we've been working closely with the area schools.
Police believe the teens likely live or attend school nearby, with their calling for candy so strong they don't even cover up their face.
And, you know, quite honestly, they're going to get hurt or they're going to hurt someone.
But for now, they're hurting this business. A cashier tells me the teens often strike after the store is freshly stocked, costing them an estimated $3,000 in candy and soda, something employees say they would hand over for free.
If need a candy, I give to him, you know, that's all.
They don't need to steal it.
Why is he stealing, you know, that's it, you know.
And back out here live, an IMPD detective just showed up back here on the scene. He tells me they believe up to 6 teenagers total are involved in these robberies. They are in the process of identifying the group. They hope they turn themselves in. For now, we're live on the South Side. For the Now Indy, Mike Pelton, RTV6.
A developing story right now. The fight between Apple and the FBI is getting even more reaction this afternoon. Apple refuses to help investigators open the cell phone of one of the San Bernardino shooters. Apple is concerned it could compromise the security of millions of iPhones. But when it's a matter of a person who killed 14 people with links to terrorism, what's the right thing to do? The Now's Laura Harris is trying to get the answers to that tricky question.
Out in about today, everyone we talked to saying if given the option, they'd pick safety over their privacy.
How would we feel if we were always protecting everybody, but we weren't really protecting their lives? I don't fear my privacy. I like my security is more important to me.
It's not just about me, it's about everybody. A lot of people will be safer.
While they think Apple should hurry up and help, tech giants like Google are siding with Apple today. Google's CEO saying in part, companies give law enforcement access when necessary. But what the FBI is asking of Apple could set a dangerous precedent in the future. NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden tweeting out a lot about the case today, talking about the irony of all of it. The same people who are charged with making cell phones secure for everyone are now being asked to break into them. So where would it stop? So here's the facts about this whole iPhone thing. Too many incorrect passcode entries could result in the phone wiping itself clean. Well, the FBI wants Apple to help them make sure that doesn't happen. And that's what the court order is mandating Apple to do. Well, the FBI can't crack this code without the help of Apple. The company is the only one that can make the program needed to get in. The FBI has probably already contacted the cell phone carrier and gotten the limited info they were actually able to provide. So they now need that detailed info hidden inside that phone. Reports are Apple will be filing an appeal against the court order any day now. For the Now, I'm Laura Harris.
One law enforcement expert we talked to expects this case to end up before the Supreme Court. There's also the possibility Congress could get involved and pass a bill to force companies to include so-called backdoors built into their products to unlock any encryption if necessary. Well, stop what you're doing and grab your wallet. How many of those credit cards in there have been there for years? We're learning a lot about credit and you today. Erica Fly is in the newsroom, and she can tell us what might be passing us by. Hey, Erica.
Candace, most of us have credit cards, but you might not realize you could be missing out on extra benefits. 25 million people have not changed their credit card in at least 10 years, and another 20 million people have never changed it. That's according to a report out today from creditcards.com. It found that loyalty does not pay. More credit card companies are now offering sign-up bonuses and rewards as they compete to get new customers. So right now, it pays to switch. The report found one of the big reasons people aren't getting new cards is they're worried what canceling their old credit card will do to their credit score. You should not close your cards, especially the oldest ones, because that will cause your credit history to appear shorter. That could then hurt your credit score. But you can still get a new card. Just put the old card in a secure place like a safe deposit box. And it's not just what you do with those old cards that could impact your credit score. Women may have lower credit scores than men, even though they have less debt. That's according to a new report that analyzes credit information. The reason might surprise you. It's because women make less on average, which impacts their debt-to-income ratio. Candace, back to you.
Erica, thank you. Well, are the bridges you drive over every day safe? More than 58,000 in the U.S. are now considered structurally deficient. That means 10% of all of our bridges are in poor condition. The new numbers today are from the American Road and Transportation Builders Association. The good news, that's fewer problem bridges compared to 2014. But there are still a lot to fix. The states with the most bad bridges, Iowa, followed by Pennsylvania, Oklahoma, and Missouri. 9% of all Indiana bridges are classified as structurally deficient. We rank number 22 on that list. Well, definitely something you don't see every day. We're talking about a slow-speed police chase involving heavy machinery. A Florida man faces charges after this joyride in a backhoe. Police say it started when he dumped boulders on the roadway on a bridge. He then drove up and down the bridge for nearly 2 hours while police tried to get him to stop. After damaging everything from the bridge to an officer's cruiser, they finally got to stop him with some spike strips. No word on why this guy did all of it.
Candace, I think it would only have been a fair fight if they were pursuing him in a steamroller. Then they meet head-to-head, and you just see what happens. All right, we're going to steamroll winter for a while. Temperatures during the day tomorrow start at 48. So our overnight temperature will continue to climb. Very mild in the morning, very mild in the afternoon, 61. But that will be tempered by winds that will gust to 40 miles per hour. The record appears safe at 69. Our 61 predicted high temperature. That's in Indy. To the south, a little bit warmer. Terre Haute Idaho to 62, 63 in Bloomington. To the north, you may miss 60, but not by much, and you'll be in the game again on Saturday as temperatures stay just as mild. There's your howling south wind through the day. Increases in the afternoon, peaking with gusts of around 40 miles per hour. We've still got to talk about your weekend forecast. How close to our record temperature on Saturday? I'll show you, and when to plan on showers for Sunday coming up.
A hospital in California is desperate to get its stolen data back and pays computer hackers a big ransom. It seems to set a dangerous precedent, though. But what can other medical facilities across the country learn from this? The Now's Ann McNamara asks a cybersecurity expert.
Hospitals are full of computers these days, right? Right down to the MRI machines, the IV machines, everything has hardware and software in it.
Every time you go in for surgery or get an x-ray, computers are collecting your personal information. And if even one machine gets hacked, the whole hospital network could be at risk.
Typically what it does is encrypt all of the files on your machine, and then it's the case that you then have to pay them money for the password to decrypt all of those files. And there truly is, it's very, very difficult to go backwards from that.
So what can American hospitals do to keep up with high-tech hackers? Computer science professor Dr. Steve Beatty says it's very difficult, especially because corporations are slow to approve changes from the top down.
You know, the defense here is keep your machines up to date, keep a backup and what we would call an offline backup, because these ransomware knows about how people typically back up things, and then we'll go out and encrypt the backups.
And there's no guarantee that ransom money will stop them from doing it again, or worse, exploiting what they already stole.
Any piece of malware, once your machine is infected, can do essentially anything. And so encryption is certainly one of those things, and then stealing all your information is another one of those things.
For the Now, I'm Ann McNamara.
The hospital apparently paid the hackers $17,000 in Bitcoin, which is an encrypted currency. Well, it's scary to think there may be weed killer in the food we eat. Now we're going to find out for sure. The FDA is going to start testing for an herbicide called glyphosate, which is the most commonly used weed killer. Last year, the World Health Organization declared it a probable carcinogen. The FDA may start by testing soybeans, corn, milk, and eggs, but it has not yet outlined a specific plan. It may be reacting to pressure from the Government Accounting Office, which criticized it for not publicly disclosing that it hadn't been doing the testing already because of the cost. Well, just imagine if you held the secret to finding a cure for cancer. Researchers now believe a special group of people may have an edge up on the disease. Researchers say it comes down to one chromosome, the extra one people with Down syndrome are born with. Less than 1% of people with that chromosome develop hard tumor cancers like breast or prostate cancer. And if they do, adults with Down syndrome are 20 times less likely to die from those cancers. Now, this mom says she was amazed by that connection.
Maybe they're part of the future that really takes us to the next whatever that actually keeps us all healthier and on this earth even longer.
Doctors are now studying that extra chromosome to see exactly why it affects those types of cancer and how it can be used to beat the disease in the future. Well, what a nightmare. What's happening to one man's Facebook page that will have you changing your password by the end of the story? And we're keeping an eye on the roads for you at 4:20 this evening. As you can see, a live look at our in-dot traffic camera at I-70 and 65 North Split. A few cars on the road, but nothing to be too concerned about, at least in that area. Also, if you've been outdoors, it's beautiful. Temperatures are warming up. We'll see you right after the break. You're watching The Now Indy on RTV6.
Now she's not getting up. I guess she's in a deep sleep. I don't know what to do. My mom, she's on her way.
What's your address, honey?
Oh my gosh. I have no clue. I am so sorry.
Some scary moments for a 10-year-old girl, and now a message from the Marion County Sheriff that all of us need to hear. With fewer people using landline phones, does everyone in your house know how to call 911 from a cell phone? The Now's Ann Kelly has been working on this story. And Ann, you met with this brave little girl earlier today, right?
The brave little girl, Candace, who called into the 911 center, the Marion County 911 center where I am right now, just hours ago. Now, before I get to what we can learn from her story, let's actually hear her story. Jasmine Nichols is her name, sitting down with me today, telling me she woke up this morning to find her grandmother on the couch. She was unconscious, wouldn't wake up. So this 10-year-old went to the phone to dial 911. But the tricky part here, the family's landline was down.
So I needed to find her cell phone. But see, I didn't know where it was. I was going through her purse. I was looking through her bedroom and everything. Then I just started crying. I didn't know what to do. I thought that this was just the end. And then I stopped to think for a second, and I looked on the floor, and there was her cell phone.
So Jasmine eventually finding a phone, calling 911. You saw there her grandmother sitting next to her on the couch recovering. That ended well, but there was an obstacle. The obstacle that there wasn't a landline and she needed to find a cell phone that she couldn't find, which brings us to an issue the Marion County Sheriff really wants people to be aware of today. Consider that about a half of us do not keep landline phones in our home. So it's why today Marion County Sheriff John Layton is calling on parents to have the discussion with your child. Discuss where they can rely on finding your phone in case of an emergency. Now that's part one. The second part, and this is key, while it wasn't an issue for Jasmine, you need to have a discussion about how your child can access your phone if it's password protected.
Most all phones have this emergency right here, and if you hit that emergency, it'll send you to a screen that you could dial 911. So those are the kind of things you have to show the child: how to get the phone on, how to bring up the screen, how to get to this screen, and then hit the emergency. Then they can dial 911, but it won't confuse them as much as you think it will. They'll pick it up.
And finally, I'm not done yet. The third piece of information you need to really make sure your child is aware of. It sounds silly, but where they live, even for Jasmine, this was a problem when she was on call with dispatchers. She had to go outside and find a street sign so she could tell them where she was located. Because when you call on a cell phone, unlike with landlines, it is not as easily traceable. So if your child does use a cell phone to call 911, they need to have some type of information to be able to tell the dispatchers where they are located. Reporting live on the east side, Ann Kelly, RTV6.
Dozens of whistleblowers are coming forward alleging widespread problems from inside the Cincinnati VA Medical Center, putting veterans at risk. Tonight, twin federal investigations are underway in response to a 4-month joint investigation from our Scripps Washington Bureau and WCPO. National investigative correspondent Mark Greenblatt has also uncovered evidence of serious conflicts of interest involving leadership and has the latest from Washington.
I've been going to the VA hospital for a good 30 years.
Vietnam veteran Ted Dickey has long counted on the VA in Cincinnati for all of his care.
I have a rapport with a lot of people at the VA hospital.
But when he needed his second hip replacement, the VA didn't have a surgeon and referred him outside.
Their way of running the hospital is not doing the surgery and farming it out.
34 whistleblowers in all, including 18 doctors, say veterans are getting shortchanged, even put at risk.
Many services are been devastated and are incapable of carrying out their necessary functions.
Longtime surgeon Richard Freiberg joins other whistleblowers who say many problems began when acting chief of staff Barbara Temek came on board 2.5 years ago and went right to work cutting costs and some say cutting corners.
There's unrest throughout the hospital.
He says Temek got rid of every specialist in total joint replacements, and the VA confirms it's now left with just an orthopedic surgeon who can perform non-complex knee replacements. No one here can do shoulders or hips.
She pushed them out. They've all left.
Freiberg still volunteers at the VA.
I've seen surgical instruments that once we open that sterile pack, they will have pieces of bone or other debris from previous surgeries still on the instrumentation.
Mike Brooks is a 20-year Navy veteran and has worked here as a nurse anesthetist since 2008. He and others have witnessed recurring problems during surgery and say Dr. Temek has failed to invest the resources to correct the problems.
It's the microscopic things that we can't see. That's what's the potential infectious problem for that poor patient on the table.
And in fact, we found under Temek's tenure, the rate of drug-resistant MRSA infections has increased substantially, turning Cincinnati into one of the worst-performing VA hospitals in the nation.
Nurses and technicians will come to me and say, you know, I just feel terrible about this. They'll fill out the proper forms to get things corrected, but the forms don't seem to go anywhere.
But while whistleblowers criticize Temec's cost-cutting measures, they also have concerns about her pay.
It's certainly common knowledge at the hospital that she's gaming the system.
Temec earns $137,000 for her management position, but she's also paid as a cardiothoracic surgeon, getting $194,000 in pay for that. But what's at issue?
She's in the room when surgeries happen, but I can't say that I've ever seen her pick up a scalpel.
Multiple sources tell us Temec serves only as an assistant and has never worked as the operating surgeon since arriving in Cincinnati. So who oversees her? At a regional level, that would be Network Director Jack Hetrick. Turns out Hetrick and Temec go back more than a decade, where they worked together in Hines, Illinois. Records we've obtained show Temec wrote a prescription for 50 pills of a generic form of Valium back in 2012 for Hetrick's wife. In May of 2013, just 8 weeks before Temec landed the Cincinnati job, she gave Mrs. Hetrick another prescription for 100 pills of hydrocodone, an opioid classified as a controlled substance by the DEA. Each time, Temec used her authority from an address linked to the VA back in Illinois. The problem? Illinois regulators say her controlled substance license expired back in 2011.
Was the person allowed to receive the prescription? From what I can gather, they were not.
Representative Jeff Miller of Florida chairs the House Committee on Veterans Affairs.
I believe that it needs to be fully investigated.
Dr. Temec, Mark Greenblatt, I'm with Scripps News. We've been trying to talk to you. Temec declined repeated interview requests, so we caught up with her on her way into work.
We understand that you've written controlled substances for Jack Hetrick's wife. Can you tell us anything about why you did that?
Now, when we asked Hetrick about the prescriptions, he walked out of an interview. But just days after we met with officials at VA headquarters, the agency launched an internal investigation and called for a second Inspector General investigation. The VA also removed Hetrick from all oversight of the Cincinnati hospital, pending the outcome of those investigations. Mark Greenblatt, Scripps News in Washington.
For more on our investigation, including in-depth interviews, documents, and interactives that will be added throughout this week and next, head to our website, theindychannel.com. Well, do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Now there's a new twist in one of the most iconic board games of all time. You're watching The Now Indy on RTV6.
And welcome back to the Now Indy. I'm excited to share with you the warm-up that you're starting to feel now. The veil of clouds will not lead to any showers over the next 24 hours. Not until Sunday will we see any rain. Okay, I promised you we'd look at the weekend when I came back. 65 Saturday. That would be 2 degrees away from the record high. Cooler temperatures on Sunday. Saturday is the whole package, though. Not as windy, more sunshine, near record warmth. When I come back, we're going to talk about cooler temperatures on Sunday, the rain chance increasing, and then how temperatures tumble next week.
Monopoly is about to become very 21st century. Hasbro is removing paper money from its classic Monopoly board game. The banker will also be replaced with a small ATM-like contraption. Players will use debit cards in place of the paper money. Well, on the upside, removing the paper money means easier and faster gameplay. But on the downside, it takes away from the money management lesson of the game. The Ultimate Banking Monopoly Edition will be in stores this fall. Well, if you're like me, spring break vacation can't come soon enough. But as you start to plan your trip, how does your budget look? The tips you need to hear now. You're watching The Now Indy on RTV6. Breaking news just into our newsroom. A husband who just lost his whole family makes a statement. Raymond Gill III, husband of Katie Gill and father to 4-year-old Raymond, saying today he wants to thank the Boone County Sheriff's Office and investigators. He says Katie and Raymond were his entire family, and the hole their loss leaves is unexplainable. Quote, the loss of Katie and Raymond is an unbelievable and tragic event in our lives. For the latest updates on this story, head to the Indy Channel or our RTV6 app. Well, Mexico, Florida, Hawaii, it's that time of year, spring break. But as you start to plan your vacation, are you sticking to a budget? We went straight to the experts for some tips to keep in mind when planning that special getaway.
We're heading to Mexico. I'm super excited. We're going someplace warm, especially to get away from this cold.
Andy Verdeen says his spring break planning came easy with the help of a travel agent and knowing his budget.
This year we have our budget set. I'm going to spend, X amount of dollars while I'm down there, and as long as I stick within that, I'll be all right.
It's no secret destination vacations add up fast.
The key is to plan and budget. Spending a lot of money doesn't relate to having a good time.
The president of Benham Advisory Group, Brian Benham, has a few smart ways you can save more. First up, set a daily budget and use cash.
Maybe hedge it by an extra 10%. So if you have $300 set aside for that day, throw in an extra $30 and put that in your pocket. Because what a lot of people will do is they'll take the credit card and just swipe, 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 and all day long, and then they end up spending $600 on a $300 budget day.
Plan to have that cash on you already so you avoid using ATMs wherever you go. ATM fees can add up fast, costing you an extra $50 to $100 a week.
And another thing, when you take a family of 4 or 5 out in some vacation areas or resort areas, you might spend $40 or $50 per day just on breakfast.
So Benham says save a few bucks by staying at a hotel with a complimentary breakfast. Another big money drain can be transportation. Taxis add up fast, so take time to research public transportation or use Uber or Lyft as a cost-friendly alternative. Next up, always recheck your purchases. Benham says sometimes you can find better deals closer to your vacation.
You might find that if the hotel wasn't successful in booking all the rooms, they might start discounting. And usually a hotel will give you within 24 hours the opportunity to cancel, and you can rebook. So that's a great way to minimize some of your costs.
Lastly, Benham says take advantage of rewards programs. Whether it's a free rewards program for airlines, hotels, or car rentals, you can rack up points faster than you think, and some companies offer discounts or freebies just for signing up. Plus, if you're a AAA member, student, senior, or a military member, you are sometimes eligible for discounts. Just ask. Planning ahead of time can save you big time. Well, every job has its ups and downs, but we're getting a glimpse at some luxurious workplace behavior. And now Todd Connor joins us here with more. Hey, Todd.
All right, Candace, what would you like? A month of sick time at work or getting paid for 2 years if you lose your job?
I'll take it all and, throw a Corvette in there. I'll take everything.
You can take it. They sound like a dream, but they're actually happening, just not here. I'm sorry about that.
Fair enough.
The U.S. ranks last when it comes to benefits at work, as a matter of fact. That's according to a new report from employment site Glassdoor. Now, it looked at the U.S. compared to 14 European countries. Denmark did the best, with France close behind. Right now in France, they're even considering a new rule letting workers ignore their emails at home, Candace, so they can actually disconnect when they leave the office. I know you'd love that. Now, if you lose your job in Denmark, you can get 90% of what you were making for the next 2 years. Compare that to the U.S., where we get around half of what we were making for 26 weeks. You're also guaranteed 5 weeks of paid vacation in Denmark and 18 weeks of maternity leave with your full pay. But those benefits definitely come with a cost. Workers in Denmark have to turn over more than 38% of their pay for income taxes and Social Security. It's 24% in the U.S. So for our own peace of mind, I guess it helps to get a little bit more in the paycheck, even if we don't get as great benefits that they do over in Europe.
Definitely.
Now, here where we work in the newsroom, we're putting a lot more stories together for you coming up at 5, including we're talking to experts about how we could face the same fate as Flint, Michigan, with lead making its way into our water supply. Hear what one group says about how it can happen right here in central Indiana. And we're going to take you live to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. You're looking at a live picture right now from the Pagoda, where they are getting ready to kick off the 100-day countdown to the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. We're all looking forward to that, right?
It's already here.
It is already here.
Great. Todd, see you in about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Thanks so much. Well, it's one of the most iconic streets in America and one of the most visited in the world. This is a live look right now, and as you can see, there is a lot of traffic, but could Las Vegas put the brakes on its legendary strip? The Now's Todd Walker is breaking down the odds.
A proposal here in Las Vegas is turning heads, turning the iconic drive down the strip into a walk.
A trip down Las Vegas Boulevard can take you to other countries and other times, but it is so crowded on foot or by car, you won't get there quickly. Thankfully, to serenade the trek are Terrell and Darrell Brittenum.
Brittenum.
They do that a lot.
Pretty much, yeah.
The twins have been performing on the Strip in unison.
I'm either here or there.
For a while now.
5 months.
In that time, they have seen how crowded it can get down on the street.
A lot of people getting hit. You know, one major accident, a lady was hit like 15 people.
Others have noticed too, which brought back a proposal that has been around for a while to close the Strip to vehicle traffic and make it one big pedestrian mall. It came before the county commission once again.
I think it caught a lot of people off guard, frankly.
Steve Sisolak is the chair of the commission, which approves money to build pedestrian bridges over the Strip.
And they said, look, we can save a lot of money. We don't have to build any more bridges, so we just close on the Strip to vehicular traffic.
But he says that opens up more issues than it solves. The hotels spent billions on their properties, which have main entrances on the Strip. Taxi and other transportation companies make all their money here, and the side streets couldn't handle more traffic.
People can argue that the Strip is congested and it takes a long time to go from one end to the other. That's part of the Las Vegas experience.
This is it. So, you know, it needs to be sectioned a little bit where the drivers are on one side and then a lot of the pedestrians can be safe as well.
The support for this idea to get people out of their cars and onto the Strip needs to be a lot more in unison. The Brittenum brothers know a thing or two about that.
Two more bridges have already been approved by the county commission, and more could be on the way to try to keep the people and the cars separate. For the now, I'm Todd Walker in Las Vegas.
And we're trying to bring the sunshine and 60s together. I think we'll have our most success with that on the Saturday. Let's talk a little more about Sunday. Notice a little cooler, but still way above our average high of 43, and our chance for rain will increase a bit too second half of the weekend. But Saturday's the day because not as windy, more sunshine than what we'll see on Friday, and then even warmer temperatures arrive on Saturday. Sunday, the chance for rain right now, RPM is really putting the best chance in the southern third of the state, south of a Bedford and Seymour line. That's at least through early afternoon. Temperatures on Sunday, as we mentioned, cooler. 53, your high temperature with a 40% chance for rain.
A Colorado couple is celebrating their 77th wedding anniversary this week. They are one of the longest marriages in the country, just short of the record, 81 years. This is a picture from their wedding day, February 17th, 1939. Mildred Betts is now 93-year-old. Howard is 99, and they have 5 children and are now great-great-grandparents. And even still, they have trouble believing that it's been so long.
What's your favorite part about being married for 77 years?
We were married that long? Wow. Unbelievable, huh?
She's adorable. Now, we asked the couple what the secret was to their long-lasting marriage, and Mildred says they've made a point not to be under each other's feet. She says maintaining independence in the relationship is important.
And if a bird poop, how in the heck would it poop like that?
Yeah, what she said. It might look like bird droppings, but this mystery is stumping everyone.
It's been the life source of our society since the dawn of time, but the massive decline in the bee population is creating new ripples in our society. So what can we do about it?
From colonies collapsing to beehives actually getting stolen, one man just arrested in California is now accused of taking more than 60 hives to rent back to desperate beekeepers. The Now's Andy Choi shows us why this problem is reaching a critical point.
But if you put your ear against here and give a little tap, you can hear the pulse of the bees going, what the heck? It's great.
The childlike curiosity with bees started more than 40 years ago for Tim Broad, but it doesn't take a beekeeper to know if you mess with the hive, you might get stung.
But there's a lot worse things than getting stung. What's worse is having no bees.
And the painful realization for this shepherd of swarms is with each passing year, these pollinating civilizations are closer to the brink of collapse.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's really hard for everyone.
Tim's company, Highland Bees, has already lost $50,000 in business this year.
Of course, it's very, very hard on me financially, but it's indicative of what's coming. We have incredible systems pressures going on bees. We have much less land. We have much less biodiversity. There's way new generations of pesticides that are contaminating and poisoning.
But these bees are all diseased.
And certainly in the bee industry, there's a lot of chaos. So people are trying to maintain the old paradigm. You know, there's reports of more and more theft that are going on, of beekeepers stealing from other beekeepers.
As the bees' demise now ripples through our own human infrastructure.
That's the signal for the bees to start building up.
Beekeepers like Tim still believe knowledge can turn the tide.
We can start planting high forage. Whether we live in an apartment, that can be in a 5-gallon bucket. Whether we have a lawn, that can be saying, well, you know what, I'm not going to use pesticides and insecticides.
And if this hive mentality still feels like a lost cause,
get in there, you.
Tim Broad will tell you the hive he hopes to save is a lot bigger than you think. In Boulder, I'm Andy Choi for the Now Indy.
It's a mystery in one Michigan neighborhood. Homes, cars, driveways, and boats coated in a tar-like substance. Firefighters who came out to test the substance say it's not dangerous, but not everyone is buying that explanation. People who live in the area are not only confused, but they're getting frustrated.
I mean, what's your concern about this substance? That it could be dangerous?
Yes. Well, you're stepping on it, so you better be concerned.
Everybody's concerned about it. We'd like to know what it is and who's going to clean it up. You get government involved and everybody passes the buck.
An environmental investigator is expected to come out and inspect the neighborhood soon. It's near an Air Force base, so there's some speculation that the tar came from a low-flying plane. Well, that's all for the Now Indy at 4 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. I'm Candace Avilés, and the news at 5 starts right now.
Now at 5, our heart-wrenching conversation with friends and family 24 hours after a mother and her 4-year-old son were brutally murdered in Boone County, all over money. What we're now uncovering about the motive. A car intentionally crashes through a restaurant, critically injuring an employee. You won't believe why the driver says she had to do it. Caught on camera, teens tormenting employees.